Good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the NASDAQ 100 for Sunday, December 19th, 2021. The Globex session has now been underway for 2.5 hours, and the markets are continuing to move lower. The NASDAQ is moving lower in a C wave, a minor C wave decline. So let's just recap real quick where we are and what changes have been made at the end of last week and moving forward. Earlier, I had moved over what was then the preferred count to the alternate count and was back to showing a more bullish picture for the NASDAQ in that it included new all-time highs. I laid out parameters going in both directions and gave out levels that if they were broken, it would likely negate the upside scenario for now and put us back into a stronger, longer term decline. So on Friday, the market did clearly, actually on Thursday, broke below 15,734. That pushed the count back to what was the alternate, back to preferred status. And that is that the advancing sequences completed here at 16,767. Even though the S&P did manage to go up and make new highs, the NASDAQ didn't really get that close. So I'm feeling stronger about it shifting back, and that wave A, minor wave A, completed at 15,538, which happens to be that next no break zone. If it breaks below that level, then certainly the count that we're having in place is definitely going to be the preferred count and suggest a much stronger decline. Now, the NASDAQ for right now is kind of waffling right around that 16,618 level, Fibonacci level, which is about 5,700. It's drifted below as it did on Friday. It's definitely traveled back above as it did on Friday. And then at the start of Globex, it's drifted below, come back up, and now starting to drift back below. So I think it's going to stick around right there, possibly for the balance of the night until the US gets itself going again. Again, let's not forget that we're also possibly beginning to move into a slower market as it heads into the Christmas time. I just think it's not going to necessarily be slow. Volumes might be light, but I think that if sellers move in, it could get very ugly very quick. Or if the sellers decide they're going to, if the buyers decide they're going to take the control back, then I think it could move up just as easily. So that's actually the good news, because what that will be representing is that the volatility is remaining. What causes the volatility, I don't really care. Just take note that it's likely going to be present in both directions. And at some point, one side or the other will manage to take control for that hour, for that 2 hour, for the session. We'll wait and see, but these things can take place, and it's going to produce some really great trading opportunities. But you're going to have to pay attention to price action, pay attention to moving averages. And so I'll start right there. Again, what I'm looking for right now is a continued downside. So we have wave A, minor wave A done, minor wave B done, and we're in that minor C wave. Minor C will have 5 waves in a declining fashion of minute degree. Wave 1 down, 2 up, 3 down, 4 up, 5 down. So we have 3 legs moving lower versus 2 legs correcting. So right now, it looks as if we may, please come on. Always does it when I've got it on record. So maybe that has something to do with it. We're going to have to go back out to 30, and I think that'll be just fine because I'm looking to count that internal, this move, to see if indeed we have kind of come down, possibly in 5 waves, which would suggest that we can put a wave 1 in there and then move on. And it does appear to be the case. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I'm going to put this as wave 1 and this possible wave 2. Wave 1 of C, wave 2 of C. And if that's the case, we are dropping in a wave 3 of C type move, and it is again subdividing. So it'd be wave 1 of 3, wave 2 of 3, and boom, it's subdividing again. So yeah, a little bit more difficult, but because on the 30-minute chart, I could say from this level, we're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it'll be 5 down, but I'm not sure of what. There's this A, B, and that's going to be a C wave. Not sure. It shouldn't, which would really just put us in a position of a correct, a little bit higher or a little bit larger corrective bounce. So if it only comes down and does not break below 15,652, we can go back up, get ourselves back up to 15,990 before we start and turn lower again. So that would be a very complete 1, A, B, C, 2, and then bam, we fall apart. That would be one scenario. So if it starts to break down from here, again, breaking below 15,652, then I would expect it to begin to accelerate and get a little bit ugly, because we still carry very strong potential that the market will eventually, of course, break 15,538. That would be breaking below wave A. That I would expect from a C wave. So that's in the books. Whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens the day after, we don't know. But that would be my expectation, that at least that market, at least this NASDAQ, will get below that level to finish a C wave. Now, initially, we do have support at 15,593, 15,538, which is the low of wave A, 15,494-ish, which is basically 15,500. And then 15,231, that is where wave C would be equal in length to wave A. Let me go back down to that hourly chart now. Now we know that we're counting, this is 1 of C, possibly 2 of C, but I'm not really. I'm thinking that that's going to be more complex, and that's just the A, B, and we'll get a C, come back up here. If it breaks below 15,652, that's going to then put a little bit more pressure on that. This is 1, 2, and this is now starting to break down inside the 3 of 3 move. So I would expect a break below 15,652 produce some acceleration to the downside. That being the case, again, we're looking for it to break below 15,538. That's going to totally, it's just there. It is 38. A break below there seals the deal in terms of this is A, B, and this is a C wave. Now, what are we looking for? We're looking for it to break below there and start to find support. We have support at 15,494. I think it's transitory in terms of that, just maybe pause, but it'll go through. I think we'll start to see the acceleration. So the first support to complete the move comes in at 15,231. I happen to think that's just where wave 3 might end up, because where I would be looking for this whole C wave to be done is 14,472. Again, folks, really what we're building here, we're building a much larger correction. Remember that if I take this back far enough in terms of degree, right now I've only labeled it minor and intermediate, but also what's completing here is a primary degree 5th wave, a cycle degree 5th wave, and a super cycle degree 3rd wave. So we're going up that high. And to get up there, this correction, that's the high at 16,768 approximately. This correction down to 14,400 is nothing. When we think that this started below 1,000, the whole rally, folks, started well below 1,000. And we can take back components of it that started like 700 to 800, et cetera, moving all the way up to the March 2020 low. That would be a minimum where I would expect all of this to come to. The low of March 2020. That's my first major support area for this correction. But again, we get an ABC. What are we finishing? Only an A wave of an intermediate degree. So minor degree has to form ABC. That just completes and forms the A wave on an intermediate degree. An intermediate ABC forms the A wave on a primary degree. And now you're getting a little bit bigger picture how these building blocks, now that we're correcting, are going to be continuing to point lower, but they come over time. I'm not expecting this to unfold in the next 2 weeks. It's going to take time, and it'll push us into next year, and there will be strong rallies, and there will be just as strong declines. It's just that the bias will be down versus up. For tomorrow, I'm hoping the volatility stays there. And what I mean is that the prices move equally as fast up and down. Makes for great trading and keeps everything in motion. Pay attention, use your moving averages, and follow the leader, so to speak. Your moving averages, and that's going to be down to the 4, are all at the moment pointing strongly lower in the NASDAQ. We got the 4, we got the 8, we got the 20 pointing hard down. We got the 50 pretty much starting to point hard down. And the 200, which is definitively started to head lower, pointing down. The slope is down. So this is going to come in this way and, et cetera, et cetera. But these are showing us that we might see that acceleration. Okay, finishing there. Next update will be Monday, the 20th.